So, quick question first off, let's get a show of hands. How many of you have played some sort of video game, whether it be on your cell phone, your game console, or your PC? So pretty much everyone here in this room. In fact, according to the Entertainment Software Association, 63% of Americans play a significant amount of video games every day, and that's for several hours at a time. So with that sort of stat, it shouldn't be much of a surprise that competitive competitions for video games have been around for years now, ever since the 80s with arcade competitions. Nowadays, however, they're going under a new name known as esports. You probably heard the term thrown around a little bit in the news and on the media. They're often compared to traditional sports. Well, esports hold all the same values as traditional sports. So some of the common questions are, how are esports treated? Why are they beneficial? And what are some of the aspects of esports? So first off, the biggest common misconception of esports is that they can't be a sport due to their lack of physical activity. John Skipper, the ESPN president, stated that esports are not a sport. Mostly I'm interested in covering real sports. Not only that, Chris Cowherd of ESPN stated that he would resign if he was ever forced to cover an esport. And this kind of lack of media, this lack of media attention results in a lot more lack of attention given to esports and results in less interest in it. So if this is fixed, it would allow esports to truly grow as a community in the gaming world. So as a participant in esports, they're very similar to the athlete of a traditional sport because they hold skills in hand-eye coordination, reflexes, reaction times, and they also, in team sports, are using things such as communication skills and teamwork skills. Now, with the media, if more media starts covering esports competitions, that would give the community more exposure, which would in turn allow for more players, more spectators, more companies getting into game development, more companies getting into things such as advertisements and sponsors for teams of esports, and would in turn allow for more revenue to the community as a whole. And while there are problems that do exist with esports still, there are colleges are one of the biggest contributors to breaking through the barriers of esports. So for instance, several universities such as Robert Morris, the University of Washington, the University of Texas, and the New York University are all forming esports teams. There's a lot more, that's just to name a few. And for instance, some colleges are even giving scholarships to players of games, similar to how colleges would give scholarships to sports players. So for instance, Robert Morris is giving $19,000 to any player of League of Legends, covering their room and board. So in terms of sponsorships for teams, there are companies such as Buffalo Wild Wings, Arby's, and Credit Karma who are all sponsoring teams of the game Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And they have been rumored to spend about $2 million as of last year in their team sponsorships. That was according to Forbes magazine, and that number is expected to grow this year. So in terms of media coverage, there's a website known as twitch.tv, which allows gamers to broadcast themselves live on the internet for others to watch, as well as these events can live stream the events to the world so that people can watch from the comfort of their home over the internet. And by 2018, Twitch.tv estimates that they will have over 165 million viewers of esports, as well as generating over $800 million in revenue. So, in terms of esports compared to sports, they're very similar, holding things such as the skills of the players, revenue generated from events, sponsorships, and other companies, as well as even the large events and the team sports. While it is small right now, it is growing rapidly, and things from colleges starting up esports and many companies getting involved as well. But it's time to end the stereotypes that gamers are basement dwellers in their parents' homes and start, integrating it more into society. And so if you enjoy playing video games and get involved, there's probably a competitive scene for whatever game you enjoy playing. So, thank you. Yes?
What's the most popular esport?
Right now, I would probably say League of Legends is the most popular game around the world.
What does a college benefit from having an esports team? I think the benefits of like an actual sports team are pretty evident. So what do they benefit from having an esports team?
Sponsorships being one of the big ones from different companies willing to sponsor these teams. It's one thing, mainly just revenue. One of the biggest things, because as sports brings in a lot of revenue from spectators and other companies and advertising, esports is very similar in that way. Yes?
So when they go to competitions, do they make money if they win?
Yes, cash prizes is mainly one of the biggest driving forces of esports. Yes?
Do you have any idea of the amount in cash prizes that are usually awarded?
I'm not entirely sure. I didn't research a lot of that, but I know when one game company held a competition for Counter-Strike, it was over several $1 million to the winning team. Yes.
Are there esports teams like regular sports teams, or is it just individuals?
Yes. In a lot of games that require teams to play, it's usually a team of 5 or 6 people.